Buckle up, guys. Today we are going to watch the return of a man who turns the simplest courtroom question into a full theatrical production. Right from the opening seconds, the tone is set. This isn't just a routine pre-trial conference, it's a collision between legal reality and personal fantasy. The intro perfectly frames the stakes, reminding us that this defendant believes he's walking in armed with secret knowledge. The tension is already baked in, and the promise is clear: this won't end the way he thinks it will.
The Matters of the People versus Timothy Talley Williams. Appearances for the record, starting with Mr. Williams, who's representing himself. It's okay, Attorney Vinek. He's representing himself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Williams, can you state your name for the record, please?
Timothy for the record, here by special visitation.
All right, and this is the date and time set for a final pre-trial in this matter. We are scheduled for a jury trial on Monday. Attorney Mason has tendered to the court a witness list in this matter, as well as a special jury instruction served for you to be able to see in this particular matter. And let me ask again for the record, you have the right to have an attorney. Would you like to have an attorney for you in these matters, sir?
Well, for the record, I'm here to serve a default judgment. I served you, Andy Mason, the affidavit. Back.
You did, and I'm in receipt. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Yes, on the first, and I gave you 15 days. All in, it was 23 days I gave you, and I haven't received a rebuttal. So I served you guys with a default.
I don't know what a default is. So there's no default judgments in criminal matters. These are
All right, guys, here's where the first crack in the illusion appears. Instead of answering basic procedural questions, he declares he's serving a default judgment in a criminal case, as if he's the authority in the room. The judge calmly dismantles that idea in seconds, explaining that criminal court simply doesn't work that way. This is the first hard clash between his imagined legal universe and actual law. You can already see the pattern: confidence without comprehension.
The only default that we have is if you don't appear to answer for a ticket, then the default that goes into place is your failure to answer for a ticket. Once it's established and it's here, I don't have to establish why these are tickets on the docket. That's why they have the jury and the bench trial options for you. These have been matters that have been, unless there's been a motion about a formally written motion about illegal stop or some constitutional violation, these tickets are considered to be valid and true.
No, I answered an affidavit of non-corporate existence.
So Mr. Williams, the answer to the question today is whether you're going to trial on Monday or not. That's all I'm here for.
Well, you guys haven't rebutted my affidavit.
Mr. Williams, again, I'm going to say, Mr. Williams, again, the question for today is whether you're going to trial on Monday or not. That's all. I have officers present. I have officers Evans present. I have Officer McCree present. I don't know if Officer Bush is coming as well, but they are here today to know whether or not they're going to be ready for trial on Monday. We set this jury trial out a long time ago for this trial on Monday. So are we going to trial?
Officers? What officer?
We have Officer Evans and Officer McCree present today.
And Judge, I have Officer Nunley. He's trying to check in right now. Faison Nunley.
Officer Bush is here also.
Thank you, Officer Bush.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, it's Evans Williams. Okay, say thank you, Officer Bush.
Okay, we go to trial.
Okay, so Monday we go to trial. Do you have a witness list or no, it's just you, Mr. Williams? Want to say for the record, Mr. Williams?
No, that'll be it.
Okay, all right. So you have a drive unregistered, untitled motor vehicle and drove while unlicensed, and a no proof of insurance. That's one officer. The next officers are open alcohol driver, tinted windows, no seat belt, no driver's license, no insurance, untitled motor vehicle. And then the final officer is going to be drive unregistered motor vehicle, no insurance, no license ever acquired, and tinted windows. Okay.
And Your Honor, if I may interject, since he does have an email, I can copy those tickets and email them over to him
Please.
so that he can have them. I'll come down and get those. And I will email those tickets over to you, Mr. Williams.
Okay.
So that way you
for
can see what
the
the
record,
tickets
are we able to argue these matters right now, or are we going to trial?
You said you want to have a trial. What you want to argue?
Yeah,
You
but
want
I'm
to talk
saying,
to
like,
Attorney Mason?
What was that?
I said you want to talk to Attorney Mason just briefly in a breakout room and see if y'all can resolve any of the tickets.
Well, we was just emailing, and I don't know if it meant anything to it, so that's why I'm willing to take it to trial.
Well, because you can't say I just want you to dismiss it because I'm not a citizen. That's not gonna work. Or I just want you.
Oh no, that's not
it.
it. I got laws stating that all this is frivolous, but I'm saying, can we argue this right now, or do we?
A lot of people will say the laws are frivolous. Well, yes, if you have some argument that you would like to make, you can make it that way. I can rule, and that way we can go to, if we're gonna move forward to trial, we can go to trial. Yes, Attorney Soroki.
Yeah, if you like, I could speak to Timothy Williams in a breakout room for a few minutes, explain the legal system to him.
Yes, can you?
No, sir.
Do you want to make your argument first, Mr. Williams, or do you want Attorney Soroki? He wants to give you a little feedback. That way you'll be prepared for Monday's trial. No? All right, he doesn't want it, Attorney Soroki.
Buckle up, because now the judge narrows the focus to the only question that matters. Are we going to trial or not? It's a simple yes or no moment, yet he dodges, deflects, and drifts back into affidavit talk. Meanwhile, officers are confirmed present and prepared. The courtroom energy shifts here. Reality is organizing itself around procedure, while he's still arguing in abstractions. This is the moment where the system stays steady, and he refuses to anchor himself to it.
In the matter of the people versus Timothy Williams, can I have appearances? First Attorney Mason, then Mr. Williams.
For the record, Your Honor, Chiku Mason, City of Detroit, 43471.
All right. Mr. Williams.
Yes, Timothy before the court, hereby special appearance. As a state citizen, not a U.S. citizen.
Okay. Changes every time. All right, you want to make a motion, or you want to make an argument as to these tickets? You can go ahead at this time, Mr. Williams.
Okay, for the record, for the record, Shapiro versus Thompson states that all citizens must be free to travel throughout the United States, uninhibited by statutes, rules, or regulations, which unreasonable burden or restrict movement. Did you get that?
I'm listening. I'm just writing down. You see, I got my notepad.
Okay.
I'm writing down notes.
And then Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court decided that a state cannot arbitrarily or erroneously convert a secure liberty, in this case, the secure right to travel, into a privilege and charge of or issue of a state can't arbitrarily or erroneously convert a secure liberty into a privilege and issue a license and a fee for it, meaning we don't need license or insurance to travel throughout the land. And Murdoch versus Pennsylvania states no state converts secure liberty into a privilege. No, Shuttlesworth versus Pennsylvania. No, Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, Alabama. You can ignore the license and engage in the right with impunity if you happen to have a license. And back to Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. No state may convert a secure liberty into a privilege. So no state has a right to require you to have a license. Hold on.
Okay, so that's your argument as far as no state can force you to have a license
Require.
because it's a constitutional right to travel.
Which is our First Amendment.
So this right to travel was about a welfare case, Mr. Williams, where she wanted to go to a different state, and they told her that because she didn't have established residency in that she was going to be denied services.
Right, and that violated her.
Right, because it's talking
Right to
about
travel.
services. She needed to take care of her child. She was 19 and she was pregnant.
But you avoiding the effects of the case. Even though that she filed a lawsuit against the state for denying her privileges, but the Supreme Court ruled that the Supreme Court ruled that can't happen because that also be violating her right to travel throughout the states, throughout the
to
land.
receive the benefits that she needs in order to take care of herself and her child.
Yes, but you're missing the argument that the Supreme Court has stated. That'll be violating her First Amendment right, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
All right, this is where the weight of the situation becomes undeniable. The court calmly lists charge after charge: no license, no insurance, unregistered vehicle, open alcohol, tinted windows. It's not one misunderstanding, it's a stack of violations from multiple stops. Hearing them read in sequence strips away the rhetoric and exposes the practical consequences. The contrast is stark. While he argues philosophy, the state presents concrete allegations.
I don't want you to miss that fact. That's what they ruled.
They said the closest the Supreme Court has come to overturning Shapiro-Thomas was in 1995 with Anderson versus Green, California Welfare and Interstate Code annotated section instituted a 1-year residency requirement for welfare aid, violating Shapiro versus Thompson. Both lower courts in California affirmed that it violated Shapiro versus Thompson and granted an injunction. Due to the procedural issue, California's residency requirement never went into effect, creating no justifiable controversy action and no actual issuance for the court to rule on. Whether they receive a waiver from the Secretary of Health or Human Services to set aside Shapiro versus Thompson, making the residency requirement pseudo-legal, the waiver was challenged again, and it's holding that the state court and the Secretary of HHS had not adequately considered public comment on the issues. So this just talks solely about, even talks about the social impact. The social impact and the legal impact is that you can go different places, and we as the government of each state still have a requirement to take care of those citizens within our state. This is about welfare. Yeah, this is about the welfare system and the ability for people. You cannot stop people from traveling. I don't see anything in here about a driver's license.
The decision of the court.
Right, she has the right to go places.
Look, the court reaffirmed the right to travel under the 14th Amendment Privilege and Immunities Clause in Suez versus Roe. So they conferred it to another case. But the conclusion of a case like that would be violating her right to travel. It have something to do with the welfare, but it's violating her right to travel.
You clearly don't understand what Shapiro v. Thompson actually decided. Yes, it involved the right to travel, but not in the way you're pretending. The case had nothing to do with driver's licenses or claiming that licensing laws are unconstitutional. The Supreme Court ruled that a Connecticut policy discouraged people, specifically poor Americans, from moving freely between states by denying welfare benefits, and that restriction violated Ms. Thompson's fundamental right to relocate. That's it. No cars, no traffic stops, no magical exemption from licensing laws. Trying to stretch that ruling into a defense against operating a motor vehicle isn't legal analysis, it's pure fantasy layered on top of a case you never bothered to understand.
All about that. Because the reason why we can't prohibit her from being able to travel or to go to another state is because then they're saying once she gets to that state, she has to establish some type of residency. And what they're saying is that if she doesn't have that residency, she wouldn't get the services needed. And so they're saying you can't say, oh, you can't go to this state and not get the stuff that you need to take care of yourself and your family just because you're not. I can't stop her. I can't say you can't move to this state and then we're going to block everything. I can't do that. Right. This is not about a license.
Which will violate the right to travel.
No.
That was the decision of the court. I'm not making that up.
You aren't, but you're not understanding what their decision was based on. Yes, you have the right to travel, but this is concerning services.
So if I chose to carry a weapon, I will be bearing arms.
If you chose to carry a weapon in the state of in Illinois, that's an automatic. You're not allowed to carry weapons at all in the state of Illinois unless you're a law enforcement officer. So if you traveled over the state lines and you went to Illinois and you tried to carry a gun, they would tell you no.
But that's irrelevant, Your Honor. We're talking about the state of Michigan. I have a right to bear arms, but you will call it receiving
exactly.
But the Constitution of Michigan states that I can bear arms, but
because once again, and we had this conversation already, the states can make stuff more, the localities can make stuff, they can, and it's a state law anyways, but they can be harsher than the U.S. Constitution, but they can do something that would take away from the U.S. Constitution. So they're not taking away your right to bear arms, they're just putting parameters around that right. And recently it was challenged at the Court of Appeals when someone tried to say that the people have the right to bear arms and that seeing a bulge or doing stuff like that didn't equate to it. And the Court of Appeals has said and ruled that does give probable cause for an officer to ask about whether or not they have the licensing because the state has determined that they need to have the licensing. So if the state determines that there needs to be a certain licensing in place and that rule or that is violated, then that has to go forward.
But that's kind of irrelevant.
Okay.
And like Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, say no state can convert a secured liberty.
Buckle up, because the court offers him something rare, a lifeline. A prosecutor volunteers to step aside and explain the legal system, to help him prepare properly. Instead of accepting guidance, he refuses outright. This is the pivotal self-sabotage moment. No one is attacking him, they're offering clarity. But pride overrides pragmatism. In that refusal, you can almost see the outcome tightening, because rejecting help in court rarely ends well.
Our secure liberty, First Amendment, is the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right to travel throughout the United States of America.
Right.
Freely and unencumbered. We're not causing harm to anybody. We just obeying the constitutional rights. Exercising our constitutional rights, which is the court is here to help protect them. I'm relying on the constitutional rights. I'm not just out here willfully nilly, like United States versus Bishop.
But you are, because you're only taking the part that you want to be applied to you. So you are out here willy-nilly. Because if you were following, if you were following everything, you would want to follow everything and all the rules that were put into place. So all that.
No, I'm following laws, not
following what you want to follow. And that's no. We talked about how that leads to anarchy. People can't do whatever they want to do. They say that I can follow only this. That's like me coming one day and saying, I want to practice law and I want to be a judge, and I haven't gone through any of the things to become a judge. That's not how it works.
I see how you put it, but that's not.
I can't sit up here with a fake P number. They wouldn't let me do that.
I see how you put it, but that's not true. What about Title 18 USC Section 241?
Mr. Williams, do you want a trial on Monday or not? You can't argue this stuff to the jury.
Yeah, I want to go to trial, but I can't.
Okay. You can't argue this stuff to the jury. You can argue that maybe something, making sure that they didn't check the things. Like, you have to follow the law. I have to treat you as an attorney in that place on Monday. So I have to treat that you know how to practice and go about the way of law. And these different things, like, you can't just give the jury cases and stuff like that. That's not what it's going to be about. And you'll most likely end up with objections that I'll have to sustain, because it's going to be talking about the facts of these particular cases where the officers came today to show up. So it has to stick to those things about what the officers came to argue about, or what Attorney Mason will make the argument for and officers came to testify about.
What are they testifying about?
About these different stops.
Which is unlawful.
Different tickets. Okay. Well, I gave you plenty of time to write a motion about unlawful, and you did not want to. So
That's
now we're here.
permission. I gave you affidavits stating the facts, what you needed, and
Exactly, and the facts are to be argued before a jury. If they differ from these facts that on the tickets, we're here to talk about these tickets. I've already made my ruling long ago that they had the right to stop, and that these tickets are the tickets for which they wrote them for.
yes, they have a right to stop persons, but I'm not a person. I'm a human being. I have no contract with the Secretary of State. I'm traveling. I'm not driving. I'm not driving for gain or profit. I'm going to point A to point B, not violating nobody's rights. I'm just traveling freely, like I'm exercising my constitutional rights. Like Title 18 USC. Section.
All right, now he doubles down and reintroduces himself as a state citizen, not a U.S. citizen, signaling the full sovereign script is underway. He begins citing Supreme Court cases about the right to travel, attempting to stretch them into a shield against licensing laws. The delivery is confident, but the application is shaky. This is where performance replaces precision, and citations are used like incantations rather than legal tools grounded in context.
You have a whole hour of time to discuss all of these previously, Mr. Williams. We talked about all of these, and at the end I made the ruling that the court did have jurisdiction and that the officers could write tickets.
You haven't explained jurisdiction.
I don't have to explain anything. It's not my job to explain it.
But you said you did explain, but you didn't.
But I said I allowed you to explain it. Do you need to put it up on YouTube?
But the burden is on the prosecutor.
Right, not on me. I'm the court. I just call balls and strikes.
And the prosecutor cannot state how she has jurisdiction.
Okay, Attorney Mason, do you want to state how you have jurisdiction over these matters?
Statute provides us with the jurisdiction over this matter. The statutes and the laws of the court provide the jurisdiction over these matters.
That's subject.
I am empowered by the state. I am empowered by my bar card, which has been submitted to the state of Michigan. I'm empowered by the city of Detroit.
She to be a I gotta object to that because she's not stating how she has jurisdiction over.
She's telling you it's by the statutes. The statutes that were given.
Statutes is not law.
Okay.
I'm obeying by the law.
So you want us to call them laws? Laws are statutes. They're the same thing. It's just a fancy way of saying laws. Statutes are just a fancy way of saying laws.
Statutes are persuasive. Laws are mandatory.
These are laws. Okay, statutes are laws. That's just a fancy way of saying laws.
Buckle up, because the judge methodically dismantles the argument. She explains that Shapiro versus Thompson dealt with welfare residency requirements, not traffic laws. He responds by misquoting foundational American principles and misplacing them in the wrong documents. What's powerful here is the judge's patience. She doesn't mock, she clarifies. The gap between what the case actually says and what he believes it says becomes painfully visible.
I'm going to
rules and regulations.
I'm going to just make a motion that these matters have already been resolved. That the court has previously stated that the trial was set forth regarding the facts of the incidents that have arisen, and that the witnesses will testify only to the facts regarding the tickets.
What are the facts?
The facts are the things on the ticket. So you have to research the law and find
And
out
according-
exactly what each one is to
according to-
show.
According to Michigan Vehicle Code 257-744A, police officers knowingly police officers knowingly police hey, where I'm at. Police officers who knowingly make a false statement on the citation is unlawful.
Okay.
I travel with a passport. My ID been canceled since 2018, so none of that is true.
Just because you cancel your
That's
ID, and this is the last argument for today, and then we're just gonna have trial on Monday. Just because you cancel your ID doesn't mean now you have the right to drive in the state of Michigan. That's not the law of this state. When you avail yourselves of the roads, the lights, the streets, the anything, once you take part on those items, then you automatically allow yourself to avail yourself to any laws that are being taken place, any statutes that are being taken place, any codes that are taking place. All of those now become active, whether you want them to or not. There's no, I don't want them to.
They become active when you agree to the stipulations.
You don't have to agree. It does not say that. We have stuff called strict liability crimes. And those are crimes that automatically kick into place whether you agree for them or not. And that's what these are. Whether you agree or not, they are things that must happen. So
I agree that certain people, I agree.
9:30. I'll see everybody at 9:30. Listen, either you're gonna take
I
care of
agree
these
that
things.
certain persons need to be governed, but everybody is not to be governed.
All right, this final stretch turns into a broader lesson on rights versus regulation. The judge explains that constitutional rights can exist alongside reasonable state parameters, using firearm laws as an analogy. He insists licensing violates travel rights, but the court carefully separates movement from operating a regulated vehicle. This is where legal theory meets structured governance. The debate remains unresolved, but one thing is clear: the courtroom runs on precedent and statute, not personal interpretation.